dark. I thought that you'd be here by now. There's nothing but the rain, no footsteps on the ground. I'm listening but there's no sound. Isn't anyone trying to find me? Won't somebody come take me home? It's that damn cold night. I'm trying to figure out this life. Won't you take me by the hand, take me somewhere new? I don't know who you are, but I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm looking for a place. I'm searching for a face. Is anybody here? I know. 'Cause nothing's going right, and everything's a mess, and no one likes to be alone. Isn't anyone trying to find me? Won't somebody come take me home? It's a damn cold night. I'm trying to figure out this life. Won't you take me by the hand, take me somewhere new? I don't know who you are, but I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah. Why is everything so confusing? Maybe I'm just out of my mind. It's a damn cold night. Trying to figure out this life. Won't you take me by the hand, take me somewhere new? I don't know who you are, but take me by the hand, take me somewhere new. I don't know who you are, but take me by the hand, take me somewhere new. I don't know who you are, but I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. I let it fall, my heart, and as it fell, it rose to claim it. It was dark, and I was over, until you kissed my lips and you saved me. My hands, they were strong, but my knees will fall to you. Stay in your arms without falling to your feet. But there's a side to you that I never knew all the things you say they were never true, and the games you play, you would always win. But I set fire to the rain, watch it burn as I take your face. When it burned, well, I cried 'cause I heard it screaming out your name. Your name. With you, I could stay there, close my eyes, feel you here forever. You and me together, nothing gets better. 'Cause there's a side to you that I never knew will never choose the games you play. You would always win, always win. Set fire to the rain, watch it pour, touch your face, waiting for a while, 'cause the world is screaming out your name. Your name. Set fire to the rain, and look us into the flames. When it feels something died, 'cause I knew that was the last time, the last time. Sometimes I wake up all the day. That what you thought must be waiting for. Either now we're already over. I can't help myself from looking for. Let your baby and burn my heart, 'cause I heard it screaming of your name. Your name. I couldn't tell you why she felt that way. She felt it every day. I couldn't help her. I just watched her make the same mistakes again. What's wrong now? Too many problems. Don't know where she belongs. Where she belongs. She wants to go home when nobody's home. That's where she lies, broken inside. There's no place to go, no place to go. It's dry her eyes, broken inside. Open your eyes and look outside. Find the reasons why you've been rejected, and now you can't find what you've left behind. Be strong now. Too many problems. Don't know where she belongs. Where she belongs. She wants to go home, but nobody's home. That's where she lies, broken inside. There's no place to go, no place to go. To dry your eyes, broken inside. Her feelings she hides, her dreams she can't find. She's losing her mind, she's falling behind. She can't find a place, she's losing her faith. She's falling from grace, she's all over the place. She wants to go home, but nobody's home. That's where she lies, broken inside. There's no place to go, no place to go. To dry your She's lost inside, lost inside. What's going on, Conscious crew? It is your favorite breakdown commentator, CTV. Welcome to another riveting episode of the Consciouztv platform. It is your favorite commentator. Happy Sunday. Hope you guys had an awesome weekend. You already know what we're here to get into. Some very extraordinary things. All right. Before we go ahead and do that, please go ahead and give me a nasty piece of thumbs up. You guys know that thumbing up not only helps with YouTube's algorithm, but more importantly, it triggers up YouTube's notification system. So when you thumbs up the video, you are literally knocking on the digital doorway of another Conscious crew member and letting them know that we're loud, live, and in color, baby, that the pastor is pastoring, child. All right, shout out to all of the little beautiful subbies. I could not have done this without you guys. We are officially at our nasty piece of 44K and counting, girl. It's up, and it ain't gonna be stuck no time soon, baby. We kicking the glass ceiling in this thing, baby, because we're working. All right. Also, make sure that you all have your notification bell set to all. And last but not least, please share the stream out to wherever it is you have digital community at, whether that is your YouTube community wall, your Insta story, Snapchat, your MySpace, Facebook, the dark side of Twitter, Tumblr, or your personal OF. I don't really give no damns where you lay the link. Just let them whores know that we're loud, live, and in color. And with no further ado, let's go ahead and push on through.
I know a place where you can recharge your soul.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
And in the midst of brokenness, he gon' see your asshole.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
You gon' heal, you gon' laugh and catch a little shade.
Ooh, girl.
Y'all know he be slaying, y'all better stop playing. Come hear what he's saying.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, you guys, let me speak to some of you guys in the building. Hey, Jay Goody, what's going on? Just Be Real. Hey, Serenity. Hey, Dorian, what's going on? Teresa. Hey, VS Speaks. Hey, Cynthia. Hey, Ty. Hey, Sharon. What's going on? Shondelyn. What's going on? Hey, everybody. Hi, The Cat's Den. What's going on, Lady Legendary Sparkle? What's going on? What's gooey, Sparkle? Hey, Boo. What's going on outside the box? Hi. What's going on? Hey, Shayla. Hey, Erica. Hey, what's going on, Kiwana? Hey, Her Story. What's going on, Mimi Twin? Hi, Shayla. What's going on, Tanika? Hey, Serenity. Hey, everybody. What's going on, Renee? What's going on, the Electric Spitster? What's going on? I need to release my twin and karmic flame all at once and for all. What's going on? Don't we all, child? What's going on, Lateria? Hey, Boo. What's going on, Kevin? Hey, Caitlin. Hey, Tina. Hey, y'all. Hey, Brittany. What's going on, The Ultimate TV? Hey, babes. What's going on, Sabra? Hey, Lady Royale. What's going on, Denitria? What's going on, My Other Sin? Hey, Ange. What's going on, Logic 5 Zozo? Hey, y'all. Hey, Keeny. What's going on, Vala? Hey, Boo. What's going on, Bradley? Hey, Boo. Hey, Tracy. What's going on, The Kid? Hey, Erica. Hey, Boo. Hey, Dr. Nikki. Hi, y'all. Hey, everybody. Hey, Aston. Hey, Boo. All right, you guys. Hey, Rumors and Tea. Hey, y'all. All right, so we got to get into some things. I got a special guest. I have a lot of things to update you guys on, girl. It is a lot going on, but I can't get into some things right now, but expect another very interesting week of content creating, girl. Okay, we're going to be continuing on in the continuity of some of the stories that took up a lot of last week's time. You guys know that I have an update for you guys regarding my subscriber who allegedly took their own life past Monday, girl. I gotta tell you and give you guys an update on that. That'll probably be tomorrow evening, night when we do that. And for those of you who are asking me questions about some of the recent dramas that have played out regarding the
previous version of the Kiwi Studios, also better known as also better known as Cardi B's $4 million intellectual property. Okay. I got some things to girl, we got some things to get into. All right. So all of that will be coming into next week. All right. Also, I want to shout out every last single one of you who tore up my Cash App, my God, today, and PayPal for my birthday. You guys know my birthday was Wednesday. So I really should have been on vacation this week. My plan was to just spend time with my best friend Cosmic and to just maybe go to the beach for the week. I know y'all saying bitch to beach where? It's like 44 degrees negative Celsius Fahrenheit something. All right. But I like the beach during the colder months. There is something very cumbersome about the beach this time of year. And I just imagine myself out there in a pair of drop crotch black pants and a black leather jacket and a crop top with my hair just blowing, you know, in the breeze and just taking in all of the UFO lights in the distance and just, you know, having a moment with the divine feminine over water, honey. You know, I get into my teen shy, okay? Y'all forgot I'm a witch. I'm a Christian mystic and thing shy. So there's, you know, I'm drawn to mystical vibes and mystical feelings and mystical atmospheres. So I'm not really attracted to like conventional daylight. I'm kind of like a vampire and shit. So, you know, I was going to live for it, baby. It was going to be my cup of tea, honey. But all that got interrupted because of the crazy news about my subscriber. And then all of the Von Ray stuff popped off and ended up landing right in my lap. So I chose to also try to balance all of that stuff out. And I think I did a damn good job, which is why we're sitting at 44K. Shout out to all of the content creators who also have been sharing the audios and crediting me accordingly all over social media. Things are all over on TikTok, Rumble, Instagram. So shout out to all of the influencers everywhere. I want to also shout out to the raggedy bitches with a struggling hairline who also did share my content and made content out my content and did not credit me accordingly because I still got the credit anyway. You know, the people flooded comment sections accordingly, and you guys continue to do that to drive the traffic where it actually belongs toward the person who actually worked for that traffic, okay? Because, bitch, I worked my ass off, okay? Worked my ass off, all right? So even the hater hoes, girl, who, you know, end up working for me this week, all right? You're welcome for the content. You're welcome. And growth still became thyself. All right. So I just want to thank you all. It's too much of a laundry list to get into right now to go through. Thank yous, a trillion thank yous. So I will come back to you guys probably tomorrow before we get started onto a heavy conversation. And we will get into some birthday shout outs because I want to thank every last single one of you all who touched my birthday in the only way that you felt you could, which was through sending me a nasty piece of coin and letting me know that your faith is beloved and is filled with so much love and community. So I really thank you guys so much. And I want to thank my baby mother Tyler right now for keeping it coming. Great content. Thank you, boo. Thank you. So today we're going to kind of get into, I'm a Scorpio Aston. My birthday is on the 15th, which was just this past hump day. My birthday fell on Whore Day. The irony there, right? So I'm an old nasty piece of Scorpio. That explains the fire and brimstone and the mysticism and the intuitiveness of it all. So we're going to have a bit of a spiritual conversation here that I think is really timely. And I'm going to tell you guys about something so extraordinary that took place today. A psychic manifestation. We're probably actually going to open up with that, to be quite honest, but not before I introduce my guest. You guys already know who this is. And of course, this is no other than the Conjure Chronicles, Dr. Nuaje himself, also formerly known as my very best friend. Hi, Conjure Chronicles. You're on mute.
What's up? What's up?
First of all, I'm loving this thumbnail.
This thing is so old.
I did not. This was your thumbnail the last time you was here?
No, I got tired of the old one. Let me see what else I got in here.
I love. You know, I love eyewear and face shields, and I have those in different colors. So I had no idea you had a face shield. I'm living for it. Okay, it's very futuristic. It's very 3024 mutants oppressed by the Illuminati, enslaved. You know, it's giving all of that, like mutant refugee. I love it. Before we get started, you can tell the folk where they can find you at, and introduce your social medias, and maybe, you know, tell the folk a little bit about yourself if you want.
Yes, of course, you can find me here on YouTube at The Conjure Chronicles. You can find me on all the social media that I'm on under Cosmic, KHOZMIQ. That's where you can find me at.
All
Also,
right.
just that cash up every now and then and say thank you, Prophet. $KHOZMIQ. $Cosmic.
$Cosmic, KHOZMIQ, you guys. Okay, if you want to bless the Prophet as well. Now, Prophet been sleeping and hibernating all day. We both had a long week. He said he was with me for 4 days out of this week. Like, he came over and held me down this week for my birthday. We had a really great time, but not as much time as I wanted because I had to do so much. These people have no idea how hard I work behind the scenes. Cosmic, can you just tell them a little bit about how I couldn't even have a 4 hour to myself because of everything that just was going on every day?
I'm surprised you didn't grow a third and fourth ear.
I was hustling and bustling, bustling and hustling and hustling and bustling. So I'm going to be sharing this with Cosmic in real time as well, because he actually called me while I was making this live stream. I really wanted to talk to him first because of just where he is in his spiritualizations. Cosmic has been and will be getting into being a professional hypnotist. Okay, so all of you guys who want to be cured from your sex addictions and your nicotine addictions and your chronic back pains and your split personalities, Cosmic will be able to snap you together in a single finger. It's classy. It's KOZMIQ. Tell the folk a little bit about what created your interest in trance states and this hypnotherapy lane.
Okay, so what started off was I was going back into prophetic school, and this is my second go round into a prophetic school. So the second time I went to another institution, they brought up something very, very fascinating. They brought up the idea of trance, and I'd never heard of trance in a good way in a Christian or biblical context. And so I didn't know that it existed in a biblical context. And the premise that the school presented was that all prophetic phenomenon proceeded from this state of trance. All true prophetic phenomenon proceeded out of the state of trance. So that really, really fascinated me. You know, they started bringing me examples of how Adam in the garden was placed actually into a trance. The word, therefore, sleep is actually a trance. And that how Abraham met God in Genesis 15 in a trance. And these other kinds of interesting prophetic intersections. So I decided to really dive into what is trance from a biblical perspective. Invested thousands of dollars to do some research and came up with shreds. Very, very little. Very, very little in the academic literature. Very, very little, certainly in the biblical commentaries. I only found one very helpful article, and it suggested that whatever was being described as trance in the Bible, specifically in the New Testament, could be medically observed or physiologically observed. So that made me go, that's interesting. That's really interesting. So from there, my study of trance has just been growing and growing, seeing that once a person gets into trance, they've entered into a very spiritual state, and the impossible becomes possible.
Nice. So, with that being said, that's exactly why you were the first person that came to mind. So, let me tell you what the fuck happened. And you already know I've been having a very synchronistic week. I'm so glad you've been over here because Cosmic, it's been a while since he and I saw each other. And he experienced some things. Just remember, you guys, earlier this year, I brought in a paranormal investigative team into my home because the bottom layer to my 3-layer glass table in my living room exploded all by itself. Doors were swinging open. There were various just interesting manifestations that were taking place. My house was vibrating. I would be laying down and could feel my mattress vibrating. There would just be all type of things that was taking place. It got so extreme that the table was like the last straw for me. When the bottom layer of my 3-layered glass table exploded, that's when I had to get Ghostbusters in here. And then I had to end up bringing them back because things had popped off even more dramatically after they came and did their investigation. So we had to schedule another investigation for them to come out here and to set up some things, to speak into the environment, communicate with the environment. It's been off the chain. Well, when Cosmic was over here, he also experienced things falling off the shelves, flowers, petals and shit falling on top of his head, things that do not move, things that never move, just have never moved on their own, period. And he had known that I had been experiencing all of these things into my home. And I remember telling him a few months ago, I said, somebody needs to come into my shit. Somebody needs to come into my home because it's the spiritual energy is so potent at this point that everybody can see the ghost that only once upon a time one person could bear witness to. Now everybody can bear witness to it because the manifestations are so objective and are so physical now. They're no longer in this kind of middle space of did I or did I not see that? Did or did that not happen? It's so explicit. So when he came over here for the short amount of time he was here, and there were things that took place, including even, and we're not going to get into it right now, Cosmic, but Cosmic, hold on, how can I? Even the situation with my subscriber allegedly unaliving themselves, something very powerful happened as well in that situation that hopefully I can get Cosmic to speak to when I go to speak to that situation on tomorrow. He first-handedly bear witness to some things. It's just been incredible. Like the manifestations have just been incredible. And there's just been a lot going on around me and with me, etc. With that being said, something extraordinary happened today. Because I have been working my ass off all week, I was rather tired today. I pretty much stayed in bed for the most part. I woke up to go to church this morning. I'm a part of Larry Reid's online ministry and Patreon. I advise you guys to all become members. It is an incredible spiritual space that gets into all of the Christian mystical things. And it's just a great space. And so church typically starts at 8:30 and lasts somewhere till about 10. So I woke up for that. And then I went to bed. And then Larry had called me a little bit after church. And we spoke for a little while. And then I went back to sleep until I woke up again. And let me see when I text him. Let me get the time right. Because I went to bed after he and I spoke. And I woke up at, I figured 5. Okay. This was, so around 5:15, I woke up. And I was asleep on my dining room couch. And I woke up, but my body was still tired. So I just kind of sat there. And I was contemplating whether I wanted to get up and get myself together or whether I just wanted to just lay into the thick of it all. And so I just kind of end up wallowing there and just kind of sitting there, allowing the tiredness to be. But I was still conscious. I could feel my body was very heavy. So I realized that at some point I entered into a semi-sleep paralysis state. And I began to drift into this space consciously. And in this space, I could hear Larry rambling. I could just hear him rambling. I could just hear his voice as clear as day. It was as if he was right in the room with me. It was as if he was right on the phone with me. That's how distinct and objective his voice was. I could literally hear his physical voice. I'm talking about, I could hear the fluctuations, etc. I mean, he was having an entire conversations, and it sounded like a multitude of conversations that were being had by him all at once. And in there, I started to listen very intently, because at first I recognized his voice, but I could not make out any particular word that was being said. So I just began to relax, because I realized what had happened. I realized I had entered into a trance zone, and something, I was in that twilight space. So I began to kind of focus, but without exerting too much energy, because the way that trance, especially things like astral projection and that kind of intermediary state is that it's a very fragile state. And if you go too hard in relaxing, and if you go too hard in resisting, you can break the trance either way. So I was trying to find this real nice wave sort of in the boat, this real balancing act between just stability, just conscious stability in this moment. As I began to settle in, his voice became nuanced, and I could actually make out language. And I just kept hearing him say cigarettes, cigarettes, cigarettes. Now, of course, I know Larry does not smoke. He's never been a smoker. And so I was like, cigarettes, 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 like cigarettes, cigarettes. And then there was some other things that he was saying that I haven't even got his confirmation on yet. So I'm gonna wait to mention those things to him to get verification before I report on those things. So I'm in this space. I'm trying to hold on. I can feel that my consciousness is like wanting to become extremely lucid, but I'm trying to just hold on in this space to just hear as much as I can, because I'm just trying to really pay attention. And I'm kind of in disbelief that I'm hearing his voice so clearly, because I don't know why I'm hearing his voice. I don't know how I entered into this frequency, etc. And I'm just like kind of blown away by just being so present in the fact that I am hearing him so lucidly right now, just talking and talking and talking away. So eventually, trance state is broken. Of course, I immediately grabbed my phone, and this is what the text was. The text is, I text him, I said, did you mention or refer to cigarettes at any point today to anyone or to yourself? He texted back and said, I watched a video on it a few hours ago. I said, Larry, I heard you in my altered state just now, as clear as day. I heard that. I said, what the fuck were you watching? I said, did you say it to someone, or these were self-thoughts? Guess what this man said, Cosmic? He said these were self-thoughts about it. Not only were they self-thoughts about it, he said he was watching a video on smoking and its effects, and then it led him to a lecture about it that led to a lecture on marijuana. Cosmic, I almost lost my shit. I entered into this fucking man's mind. That trance state, and whatever my vibration was at that point, somehow I entered into the iCloud of Larry Reid's mind and could hear all of his thoughts and points of focus all at once, as if I had put on Cerebro, the helmet, the X-Men helmet, And I could hear all of his thoughts. And I kept hearing cigarettes, because he was over there focused on cigarettes, to the point that he was even watching lectures and documentaries on the effects of smoking, etc. I entered into this fucking man's mind. And there is no normal auditory pathways that could have allowed me to access that information, considering that he and I are not even in the same home. We're separated by time and space, aka states and cities. I am in a whole nother state. And not only was I in a whole nother state, accessing information in real time, time was accessible to me, both the future, present, and the past, because he wasn't even watching and focused on cigarettes at the time that I had my experience. That had happened hours ago, which means that I had been in the past. I was able to glare and peer into the past few hours prior and describe, feel, and hear things that only Larry would know to be true. Because these were his own private interests. I need you to give motherfucking commentary about the teens and the fact that I did this without effort. The fact that I did this without intent. The fact that this was without any action on my part. I extracted information out of what some mystics call the Akashic records, or in layman's terms, directly out of this man's mind. And I am so curious about the metaphysics behind that. I am so curious about how, what variables came together that lined my consciousness up and then made his thoughts, his own internal thoughts and points of attraction completely accessible to me. And the fact that I had access to a multitude of Larry's thoughts and feelings, because I heard him in multitudes initially, which means that I could have went anywhere in that information chamber. Anywhere in that information chamber. And hone in, zoned in and regurgitated that back to him. This is why our U.S. government spends millions of dollars, millions of taxpayers' dollars to fund secret spy psyop programs, while they invest millions of dollars in training remote viewers, astral projectors, psychic spies. The reality of the psychic and quantum self and this multiverse of madness in which we exist in, the simulation, these things are the evidences of things unseen. What are your thoughts on this corroborated psychic manifestation?
I think that's very interesting because in that state, there's so much more that's accessible to you that during your conscious waking, you're not aware of. So I think it's very interesting. I think it's very interesting. I think the love of clarity is very interesting. This is the first time this has happened.
When you say this, what do you mean this?
I mean, being able to hear with that level of clarity.
What's interesting about that question, and I always share this on my platform, is that, you know, I am a super empath by all stretch of the imagination. And growing up, my psychic giftedness was embedded in my empathy. And information would be presented to me for most of my life through my ability to feel. I could feel the truth. I could almost discern the hearts of men through feeling capacity. That was my psychic language, or the vessel for my spiritual giftedness. And my ability to feel things that were transpiring around me and inside of people was always escalated and strengthened when I was in deep relationship to the individual. And I spoke about this so much on my platform. So my family, my friends, even my lovers, like if I had a very strong relationship to a person, you know, my antennas would always be ablaze. I was always receiving data through my emotional capacity. But this time, that empathetic gift, because obviously Larry is a very strong relationship in my life. So obviously I'm not shocked at being able to tap into him in that way. But this is the first time that I've tapped into someone, and my empathy where my psychicness is didn't manifest through feeling and emotion. It manifested through actual, like, audible hearing. I heard this man's voice inside of me, outside of me. I heard him speaking as clear as fucking day. As clear as fucking day. It was just, it's equivalent, if not even more lucid and explicit than you and I speaking right now. So when people have said that they've heard the voice of God, I can only imagine that they have to mean that in the most objective way. I mean, I also know the difference between internal hearing and external. This was very classic externalized audible hearing. It was as real and as tangible of a voice as possible. And the only time I've ever experienced something this audibly strong is when I was in my early 20s and I had given my life back to Christ, and I had to be around 23, 24 years of age. And I had been keeping up with my Bible study. I had gotten into a routine and a rhythm. And I was doing some things like routinely that I thought, what believers do. Like, you read your Bible. And I had come home from work one day. I was tired as hell. And my Bible study hour was coming up. And I didn't want to get out of bed. So I just laid there in my room in the dark. And I asked myself internally, I said, or I asked Spirit, I should say, internally. I said, Spirit, even though I am tired, it's all get out. Would you have me get up and read my Bible anyway? And in the damn manifestation of all things, thunder and damn lightning, I heard yes. And I'm talking, I heard yes so vividly that I could feel the vibrations off of yes, as if this was a physical sound that my eardrums, that these were physical frequencies, which they were, that my eardrums were translating. I could feel the air and the pressure from yes, like yes came out of a throat. So this was the second time in my life that I have heard Spirit, not internally and intuitively and emotionally, but heard it very much so objectively and physically. And there were so many things that are just shocking, almost appallingly shocking to me about this. Is not only the level of vividness of his voice, it was the fact that I heard all of his thoughts, and I had range to travel through his mind and focus on all of the stimulant and all of the thoughts and all of the perceptions, all of the desires, all the feelings that were there. And as I listened in closely, I heard things very closely. And that's when I heard the cigarette thing over and over and over and over again. I could hear other things that, as I said, I haven't even asked him about because I was just so stunned off the cigarette thing. I didn't even get to verifying to him the other things that I had heard. Talk to me about time and space and information and psychicness or propheticness, or no, I can't tell y'all before I talk to him. But go ahead, Cosmic.
Yeah, but there is no distinction in information between time and space. Anything that will ever be known has already been known. All information exists at once. So it's irrelevant the when and the where when you're in that state. When you're in that state, you step beyond time and space. You're no longer aware of time or space. So you can step into the future. You can step somewhere else in the present. You can step in the past, somewhere else still.
Why do you think I was able to connect? Why him? Why? How? I mean, my mind could have went anywhere. It whatever was at work focused me there. And because I didn't consciously do this, I don't know how I ended up there. When I'm doing this consciously, obviously I know what's at work because I'm intentionally using my pineal gland. I'm intentionally using my psychic faculties, but this was a random, spontaneous manifestation.
That's interesting because nothing arising from the unconscious is spontaneous.
But spontaneous, like relative to the conscious mind, because I was going to say that too.
Right.
Like, obviously, there is
So
a
that's
subconscious self.
yeah, exactly. So this is why I'm really pondering on this deeply, of why and how this bubbled forth from your unconscious when you were in that state.
Let's talk about invasiveness.
Right. Exactly.
This is a serious threat to national security. And I'm dead ass serious, because this is exactly why governments, world governments, invest millions of dollars, because all countries are galvanizing their psychics just in case there is a real science here. And if other governments and systems are utilizing these other people want to know that by using their psychics to perceive information, to perceive what's going on, to tap into classified information. I mean, what do you make of the fact? I mean, you are a prophet yourself. What do you make of the fact that, I mean, I know you used to give, but when you think about being the target, what do you think about the people being able to access your inner self and access your inner reality, access your mind?
They can only access what's open. They can only access what's open.
Well,
you really have to have a discipline of your mind. Even the scriptures talk about that when a person is just not disciplined, they're like a city with broken down walls.
But that's the thing, Perp. A purpose of the divine mind is showing you that separation is an illusion. But I already know that. These are not lessons that I need. Like I'm a mystic. So I already know that life is an illusion. Like, these aren't even proof that I need, because it was all of the manifestations earlier on in my life that that clarified to me that life was illusionary, and that we're living in a matrix, in a simulation, and that what we call reality is just an energetic construct of trillions of energetic constructs. So it wasn't it wasn't like that part of it wasn't the lesson for me. It's more so the level of access I had, coupled with the randomness of this being, to Cosmic's point, like unconsciously done. I wouldn't be shook, obviously, if I had intentionally sought out to tap into his iCloud. But this was unintentional. And the fact that I did something like this by accident, I mean, God, I mean, if this is any indication of where I am spiritually at this point, then the things that the gifts that I already had, coupled with the gifts I'm going to acquire, there's clearly been an escalation, which may explain all of the heightened spiritual phenomenon going on in my home. It experienced this gift kind of, I'm not going to say misfiring, but this gift kind of is becoming itself. It almost like it's using itself without consulting me. Like the gift is spilling out like a cup that's overflowing. And I think the overflow represents, I mean, to Cosmic's point, can it be argued that when random poltergeist or random psychic phenomena take place, that it's because more discipline is necessary because gifts are supposed to be contained? Or what is your philosophy on gifts? Should gifts run wild? Should they be allowed to do what they do naturally? I also expect you to say, at least to some degree, we also should develop a discipline when it comes to our gifts, obviously, as well. But is there a space for gifts to just gift?
Very early on, yes. Very early on, because that builds a level of faith and a level of certainty in one's gifting. And that really causes your true identity to come forward. It's almost like being reintegrated when the gift is really allowed to just flow fluently. This really adds a layer and opens up a depth of a person's identity. So in the beginning, I think absolutely. But just as you knew I was going, I think that maturity comes, spiritual maturity comes. Says, this actually can be something more, better, and different can be produced with a little bit of intention.
So to Perk's point, what's ironic, and I think I have been sharing this with you all year, I said, I have really slacked my whole life, specifically on intentionally developing my psychic eye. I'm so used to just the gifting that I have not really I've not really took time to master controlling the wheel. I've always, and I think that's because of my gift manifested so early on in life. I kind of took it as a second nature. So I kind of was lazy about it. And I just kind of told myself that, like, I just allowed it. And I'm just like, it'll do whatever it does, and I just skipped a little. And when things would happen and I would perceive things, etc., then, I operated and acted accordingly. But this year, especially after I made a lot of strong edits in my life and I really cleaned up my personal life and I cut a lot of people out and I just really straightened out my lifestyle and just got into a much more healthy, clearer, peaceful existence and got some of the leeches and weirdos out of my life, I ended up being in this space where this peacefulness aroused a lot of my spiritual energy, which resulted in a lot of poltergeist activity. It resulted in a lot of heightened psychic phenomenon. And I remember saying a few months ago to you and even to my supporters that I wanted to spend a big chunk of this year really intentionally nourishing and nurturing my psychic capacity, because it had not been something that I cultivated with a lot of strong intention. I have a very passive relationship to my psychic ability, and this was a rocket launcher experience. Like, obviously, this definitely is taking me into the next leg of my life, the next chapter of my spiritual development. And this makes me so motherfucking excited. God damn, this was a fucking chapter opener. This was one hell of a goddamn introduction to the next phase of my spiritual development, because the implications from a experience like this are practically endless. I mean, the things that can be done with a gift or with an ability that is able to be this precise and accurate could lead to so many things. It could lead to making contact with sex trafficked victims, trafficked children who don't know where they are, have no access to help. This could lead to a lot of the things that a lot of known psychics and spiritual people and occultic and mystic folks use their gifts for, such as helping police to solve homicides. It could be used to, I mean, even on a holistic healing aspect. I mean, this could take, it's funny that me and you just spoke about the movie The Sale. when you were over here with Jennifer Lopez. The fact that they developed in that fictional movie the technology to enter into a person's consciousness, when the reality is the technology is already embedded in the biological, physiological, spiritual self. We are that technology. That's what mystics have been doing their entire time on this earth in these incarnations. And I am flabbergasted at the fact that there have been mystical people throughout history who probably, just as Miss Bangavanda, the Bulgarian mystic that I was just speaking about on my Instagram page, you know, who has an 80% accuracy rate regarding her prophecies. She is considered the female Nostradamus. Then you have Nostradamus and his quatrains. You know, you have the witches of Britain, you know, also known as the Cone of Power, which was a assembly of witches who galvanized themselves in a mystical forest in Britain and turned Hitler's army around mid-journey, mid-voyage, through ritualistic magic. Now, that ritualistic magic ended up unaliving them in time. Most of the witches who participated in that died off because they exerted so much energy and force, and understandably so. I would imagine how much concentration and how much energy would have to be exerted in order to turn an entire narcissistic, sociopathic, homicidal army around. I would imagine your ass would shrivel up over time and eventually die. That's a lot to give. But considering the agenda, considering the gravity of the situation, extreme times call for extreme measures, and extreme energy had to be exerted in order to project that reality onto the current one. This is insane to me. So what you guys also, I think, may know is, as a result of the spiritual space I've been in, I've been looking to have another edible experience. I experienced edibles for the first time last year when I was on vacation in Atlantic City, and it was a life changer for me. I had an incredible mystical experience while on edibles, and it was so mystifying and so gratifying and so fulfilling that it lasted me for a year, to the point that experience was so potent that I was able to just think about it and completely enter into the emotional and psychic space that I was in at the point in time of my actual experience, just through remembering the experience. That's how thick and how dense and how potent that experience was. And whatever those edibles did, that unlocked or unblocked or added to, I don't know exactly what the edibles actually did. I don't know whether they added to something. I don't know whether they took away blockages. I don't know exactly what the science was that happened, but whatever it was, baby, it was like Popeye on damn spinach man. I was at the Phoenix Force level on those damn edibles for 3.5 hours. And because I have been wanting to complete the books that I've been procrastinating on for years, and I want to travel the world and teach seminars about self-development and about spiritual development, and I've always had very high ambitions regarding spirituality and my quest for spiritual development, that I wanted to spend the next chapter of my life orchestrating a legacy around that in a real way, and produce a series of books, once again, do seminars and workshops, travel the world, etc. Sit down with members of the Illuminati on Super Soul Sunday and, you know, speak about life and the bees and the birds and a quantum reality and self-healing and the power of love and all of those things. So a part of that also was me wanting to get some accreditations regarding being a parapsychologist. And that also meant diving deeper into spirituality, which means that I'm willing to be much more experimental than I ever was, because my thirst and quest for truth is a lot deeper, which means that I'm willing to be more risky in understanding and developing as strong of a relationship to the multiverse as possible, because I know that all of my lived experiences so far, you know, that we're all still sitting at essentially 1% of information on the pie chart, if that. You know, most of the universes are unknown. So there's a eternal mass of information and data and reality that is still yet to be tapped into. And I don't want to waste this life single-handedly focusing on celebrity news and pop culture, but actually understanding my spiritual makeup and understanding what we all created together in the collective unconsciousness, essentially called God. Why did we create this? What are the inner mechanics of this? Because in understanding our own nature and understanding the simulation that we live in gives us better co-creative authority and power in changing our lives, because we can shape our life. We can actually shape the pixels of reality, because that's really all they are pixels. You can change reality based upon your ability to change your perception and to control your mind's eye, to control your points of focus, understanding the spiritual laws, the laws of magnetism, laws of attraction, the laws of polarity, etc. And mastering those things. So I'm going to take another edible experience, and I'm going to do another edible session, and I'm going to have a second experience. And the difference this time is going to be, I'm going to let go fully. Because when I got high on edibles in Atlantic City last year, I did not even know what I was in store for. I had never been high before. And I had never done edibles before. And I damn sure was not prepared, nor had I been properly, I had not been properly informed fully about all the possibilities when you are in a edible lost state. Because my friend damn sure had taken edibles before a few times, and they never even had an effect on him. And all the other people that I know who have eaten edibles never reported, you know, that they met God while on edibles. So that was hardly my expectation. So I was completely thrown off when I took edibles. And because I was thrown off and I did not know that was going to be my experience, and I wasn't ready per se for an experience like that, as powerful as it was and as colorful and experiential as it was of an experience, there was still a level of resistance that was there, because I was just so not ready. It's like waking up on a roller coaster. That's a different experience versus when you've willfully, intentionally decided to be on a roller coaster, versus waking up and finding yourself on a damn roller coaster. So there was obviously a clenching that exists. Me still trying to grab the walls of reality, you know, as some people, you know, sucked through the creative vortex of life. Now that I know what edibles do, at least for me, because, you know, I know that psychedelics, and I know that rituals, and I know that, you know, various stimulants have different impacts on people. Ayahuasca. And there is, you know, that it has its own, it's personal to every mystic, it's personal to every taker, because every soul needs something different from the spirit of cannabis, from the spirit of THC, from the spirit of ayahuasca, from Mother Ayahuasca. So that's why none of us will ever have the same experience, because the universe is speaking specifically to the personality type, to the traumas, to the desires, to the condition of each viewer. Since I expect ayahuasca to crack my damn mind open, kind of like how Doctor Strange was. That's how I felt. Do you remember that scene, Cosmic, in the Doctor Strange movie when he met the mystic and she knocked him out of his damn body,
Mm-hmm.
and he just got thrashed around the damn multiverse? That's how I felt on edibles. That was me on edibles. That was me on edibles. And I came back like, teach me, God. So, matter of fact, Cosmic was one of those people I called when I was actually high with God in Atlantic City. He was one of the people I called, and Reckless was the other person that I called. Wow. I was in the presence of the Almighty, baby. Prophesied to everybody and telling, I was literally vivid in my experience, and on the phone describing to them God talking to me and what God was saying to me and what God was showing me and what God was revealing to me. I mean, it was absolutely in fucking sane. It was one of the most brilliant, profound experiences I've ever had in my damn life. So with that said, I want to go deeper into that. I have less fear now. I've kind of transcended my fear of death. I've have more discipline over my ego, which kicks in strong when it's being obliterated by a spiritual experience. And I don't have any hangups about leaving this experience if that's what a situation brings me to, which is the point of physical death, because we know that there's no death in consciousness. There's only death of the body. And because I'm over all of that, I have no fear about transitioning the body, etc. It's about to be a wild ride because I'm ready. I'm ready to know. I'm ready to unfold. I'm ready to boldly go where CTV personally has never ever been before, because I know that I am supposed to leave a lot in this life. Not just commentary, not just fashion, not just merchandise, not just all of that, but there is a spiritual agenda that I came into this life to unpack, to evangelize, to give away, and then to return back home. So things are going to get even more intense from here, I will imagine, as I go forth. And I'm excited about that. Now, last but not least, something else I want to talk about is something that I posted on my community wall. I'm going to share it here. Let me pull this up. All right. And there were a series of experiences that brought on this this knowingness. Okay. All right. All right. So I posted this on my community wall. Okay. This is just a picture of me and some angel wings. All right. And it reads, I read it 2 hours ago. All of my soulmates and my one twin flame in this life all ended up terribly traumatized and fear-based due to the life experience. So we will not be able to indulge in the beautiful love designated for us on this timeline. I cannot even be upset at them for being jaded because I almost became fully guarded too as a result of the consistent hurt from everyone. Before I was aware that it truly takes two, I really tried to hold the unions together with my love alone, which only made things worse. I look at them all now and accept what it is rather than what it could be, which is friendship, which isn't so bad. Not sure if there are other soulmates ahead to shine bright with, but I am okay if nothing else is ahead on this timeline but myself. I will transmute the disappointment entirely and restore myself in total love with the remaining time here where I can rise to my greatest psychic and energetic potential and break the current ties so that in the next simulation, I am free and assigned the partners who are prepared to fully dance with me. I'm a little surprised that I'm so okay. And more importantly, I'm surprised that I'm ready for myself. When given lemons, it's up to you to make lemonade or to, in fact, be sour. Now, what brought on this understanding is on my birthday. Remember, you guys, I was live on my birthday. And I had took a call while I was live, and I had muted the microphone. On that live, well, on the other side of that phone was my twin flame. He had called me. I had not heard from him for about 2 months. You know, my twin flame, because he's my twin flame, he has a habit of always popping up. It's just going to happen. And he's raggedy every single time he pops up because he's been burnt the fuck up by the life experience, which makes him useless as a lover. So I hadn't heard from him in about a month and a half, 2 months. He calls me randomly, had no idea that it was my birthday. He's hysterical on the phone. He's hooting and hollering. And he says, I got stabbed. And so because I was working at the moment, I told him to call me back in about 15 minutes because I'll be wrapping up. And he called me back and told me about the things that had transpired, and his things had been stolen from, and he confronted the person that stole his things, and it ended in a physical altercation where the guy stabbed him through the shoulder and he had to go to the hospital bloody and get stitches. And this was the second time he had been stabbed in the last probably 4 years. He had also been almost fatally stabbed one time before. So in that moment, I was thinking to myself, like, my ex, he just always comes back and he's always tore up. He's been tore up since we met. He's been tore up since we dated. He's been tore up since we got engaged. He was tore up when we broke up. He's been tore up afterwards. There's never been a moment of just consistent heightened success. He's always been a mess. And I've always loved him despite him being a frail, broken mess. So it just sat on my mind. And then the next day we spoke because he's also essentially homeless. He's homeless. He's living out of shelters and things. And I was just thinking to myself, like, I still love him, but I don't have a desire for him romantically. I'm completely over the romantic shit. Like the trauma and the drama of it all has soiled my romantic interest entirely. But because he is by design my twin flame, regardless of how god awful he becomes or whatever fuckery he does, there's always going to be a part of me that is going to be able to be connected to him and to maybe even understand him and maybe even empathize with him. And my issue when it came to him, for me, was never him being a mess. It was really my in-love romantic feelings for him that inconvenienced me, and that would eventually lead to the hurt and the betrayal of it all. So when we had broke up the last time, I had decided that I was that until I overcame my romantic feelings for him, that I could not make space for him in my life, because he would be dangerous for me, because him being my twin flame coupled with my depth as a Scorpio and as an empath made me the equivalent of Harley Quinn to his Joker. And it could summon forth the dark side in me. Because by me being willing to be in love with him also made me submissive to him. And then my desire to be with him and to support him and to make him happy meant that he had reasonable access and influence. And there was no telling, girl, just how far I would be capable of going. You know, because my love for him and the nature of our relationship just could make me a gift or a curse to the world. He could have easily been the reason I was a hero or the reason why I was a villain in the world. It could have really been on some Bonnie and Clyde type shit. I wasn't strong enough to be with him. I was too consumed. I would have been too consumed. And I always fought with this when I was with him, fighting this very strong synergy between he and I would just have to go over and beyond to like discipline myself so that he couldn't take advantage of me and so that he couldn't weaponize me, you know, against the world, and he couldn't use me for his own like self-gain and self-pleasure. And I had to fight against this thing in me. So I got tired of fighting with myself. I was never able to feel really free in a relationship because it was just too much power. It was too much desire. It was too much of it. And I just did not cultivate enough self-discipline in order to keep myself complete and whole. Therefore, I was never able to feel a sense of relaxation in the relationship. There was always anxiety for me. So I told myself that I would never make space for him until I could get over me. Not even get over him, get over me. Until I could get to the root and until I could develop a sense of self and a stronger, deeper self-knowing and self-love and self-discipline, because I would have needed to be a bit stronger than the connection I had to him in order to not allow it to have power over me, for better or for worse. So I finally achieved that because I spent the next 2 years after we broke up doing just that. Going head first into my soul, head first into my consciousness, head first into everything, baby. I went in to cure up everything, baby. any childhood trauma, any abandonment issues, baby, I went in because I didn't know what the universe had in store. I didn't know whether the universe would restore him eventually, and there would come a point in time where we could be together and it be mutually good and beneficial. So I wanted to be ready. And I also was too scared to not do the work because I was scared to have a chance encounter with him again and my guard be down and I let him in and I'm not where I should be with myself. And then I'm right back in the bullshit of it all because of me, not even because of him, because you get to a point in maturity where you start taking fucking responsibility for things and stop casting the fucking blame on the other person. Stop casting blame on everybody else, and you start realizing, bitch, I got to get in control of this thing. I got to get in control of me, bitch. It's me that's lacking, because a person can only steer you and move you and put you wherever they want you on the checkerboard because of your lack of will. So I had spent so much of their relationship thinking I had to conquer him when I really had to conquer me. I had to overcome me. I had to go deeper for me and go deeper in me. And I wasn't going back. And I wasn't going to let him happen again until I found me fully. Because that's what it was going to take for me to remain in control of myself and for me to have a sense of genuine solidarity and stability in mind, body, and heart. So when he would make contact and he would reach out, I would, pass him on. And so when he reached out and he was in distress and he was in need and he done been stabbed and he done been wounded and all this and all that, and it was ironic is that he got stabbed a few years ago around my birthday, except this time he got stabbed actually on my birthday. So I don't know what that's about, but I decided to help him out because he needed it and I didn't have a problem with it. And I remember thinking to myself, now I feel safe, not because he has changed. I feel safe because I have changed. I'm no longer afraid because I am who I need to be. And I also went down the rabbit hole of thinking, like, what could we have then with me being in this space? Because even in this space, I'm still not wanting to be with him romantically. I am physically attracted to him. So I don't even mind having sex with my twin flame. I don't mind us having a friendship. What I know I'm never going to have with him is a romantic relationship. And at least not until he also has changed. Because it's going to take more than me just changing for us to have a better relationship. He would have to change as well. I will only find myself dragging the wagon, pulling the wagon, pulling the work if he does not arrive where he should arrive to as well. So fast forward. There's been, so you guys have heard me so far use the word twin flame. I also believe in soulmates. I believe that we only get maybe 1 or 2 twin flames at the most, and we get many soulmates. And your soulmates, so your twin flames by design, they're meant to reveal to you your highest potential for happiness and your highest potential for self-destruction. And you need both of those awarenesses because you need to know what you're capable of as a human being. You need to know how happy you're actually capable of being. Your experience with your twin flame reveals that to you, because when it works, it is the most heavenly paradise on earth shit you would ever experience, baby. There is no deeper sense of happiness and completeness and ecstasy and nirvana than you and your twin flame just in the rightest place, baby. That love is top fucking tier. That synergetic relationship is every motherfucking thing, and this is why hoes end up killed. Because once dopamine levels are reached at that level, baby, they're like a heron experience. Okay, I can only imagine that a two twin flames in love and in the honeymoon phase of their relationship is the highest psychedelic experience. And this is probably why most people are chasing behind crack and can't get off of addiction, because of the level of experience of good and joy that you're able to experience. But the pain is also just as profound. So people have taken their lives as a result of breakdown with their twin flame. People have unalived their twin flame as a result. Your twin flame reveals your light body and your shadow self. So you need both of those awarenesses, because ultimately you're not actually here to be dependent upon any person. So your experience of yourself with your twin flame are supposed to be references. Those are supposed to be goals you set, right? Like, okay, this is how happy I can be, which means I can also be this happy without this person. And then that's the actual goal, is to achieve that level of completeness and that level of love and that level of adventure and thrill for life on your own, to be able to tap into that mind independently without the external stimulant known as the other person. The dark side that's revealed to you through your experience of your twin flame and shit going to hell, and all the depression and strife and grief and self-loathing and self-destructiveness that manifests, is also just as profound of a bucket of information and data about self as any, because you also get to understand just how much you can let go of the quality of your life and be subjected to the belly of the beast and ultimately consumed by it. And that should create a level of fear and trembling that inspires spiritual work and self-healing, because you understand just how deep the wounds can run and what you are horribly capable of when you don't have the relationship to yourself you should. That you could go from Mother Teresa to Hitler. So you need both of those experiences. You need to know your shadow self so that you have a reason and a real motivation to remain upstream, healthy, free from fear, tyranny, negative habits, and egotism. What's going on, Jamari? Now your soulmates, for me, your soulmates can come in many different forms. With your soulmates, though, there's always going to be some type of a romanticness, even if y'all never go romantic. So you probably got romantic entanglements with people that you've only experienced emotionally. You could still consider those people your soulmates that you've only experienced mentally. But whatever it is, you're going to be able to experience some level of intimacy with your soulmates. And sex isn't the only form of intimacy. And sex in and of itself is not intimacy either. This is why you have observed sometimes people be closer to their friends than they even are to their lover, even though their lover is the one that's fucking them. Their lover is the one that's cohabiting with them. And yet they have a deeper resonance in relationship to their non-sexual partners. So you don't have to necessarily have a sexual relationship to your soulmate in order for them to qualify as a soulmate. Their identifying markers is there typically is some type of a romantic attraction, even if it's not acted upon, coupled with some type of an intimacy that develops between you all. Once again, whether that's a mental intimacy, an emotional intimacy, it can be a sexual intimacy, possibly. So you can get a lot of those, you know, and they can come in all forms and fashions. And so coming off of this week of my twin flame hitting me up, wounded, busted, and broken as always, in need, of course. And then me thinking about one of my other soulmates, and understanding that they are in a place of fear, isolation, if you will, because of certain lived experiences. It really dawned on me between the both of those experiences I had this week, one with a soulmate and the one with my twin flame, that I realized this may be the end of the road for me. And I realized that all of my soulmates up to this point and my twin flame have all become jaded and tainted by the lived experience. There's now too much trauma in certain areas. There's too much resistance, cynicalness that prohibits them from showing up fully as lovers. And when I used to calculate this a few years ago, it would upset me. And I used to actually be upset at my twin flame and my soulmates, because I'm just like, you are stopping my fucking experience because you won't overcome yourself and heal that shit. We can't at the level we should, that we are ordained to we at. And I would be angry and upset at them, but because of the place that I am with myself and all the work that I have taken seriously and done, all I could do this week with the realizations of the conditions that my soulmate so far are in and my twin flame is in is I could only empathize with them. And I realized that, you know what, I'm not even mad at y'all, because I almost became y'all too. I almost made that choice too. I almost allowed the hurt and the theatrics and the drama and the betrayals and all of that shit in to such a way that I almost was about to seal the cap on my love life as well, and withhold and withdraw myself too. I was about to do the same shit. And when I really thought about how I felt at the time in my life where I had actually kind of made that decision, and I had told myself that I don't give a fuck who comes into my life, bitch. It is a no. It is a no. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn, baby. It could come down and writing from the Lord. I don't give a damn. Baby, this is about to be the one thing I'm not going to do. I'm prepared to go to hell over not doing it. I'm not loving again. I can't. It's too much. Too costly. Too much. I ain't got time. No. Can't do it. Nope. Won't do it. Nope. Nope. Sorry. But, of course, as self-love would have it, I continued to do my work. I was also able to realize that I was allowing the enemy to win. And that the person that initially came into this life experience to be free and to set this world on fire and to not let anything change me was the exact person I was giving up on being. Because I was going to allow the way I had been treated to determine my optimism in life, to determine my hope, to determine how available I was going to make myself to love. And I realized that you can do several hundred things in the name of love. But if there's one area of love that you are suppressing, baby, that you have commenced to sinning against all of the laws. It wasn't enough to do 77 loving things and then to hold back love on some other things. It wasn't what I came to do. I'm a light bearer. And like Superman, I restore myself in the light, not the darkness. And that by not allowing the light to be me and to restore me means that I was going to be at disadvantages in certain ways. Because there's only a certain power and potency and a certain richness and depth to life that can be experienced when you are fully available to life. Despite the fear, despite the concerns, despite it all. And I didn't want to give the enemy that. I couldn't live with myself by letting the enemy have a say-so. By letting the enemy have come into me in such a way that I decided to believe him rather than to believe God. To believe me. You know, believing the enemy is like believing your hater. And it's like carrying around, ruminating over the insults and the horrible things that your hater has said, and you just carrying those emotions and those words and those feelings, and then deciding that you're going to shape your perception according to what your enemies, what your hater have to say. And I wouldn't give a human hater that. Why would I allow my spiritual hater to do that to me? What I'm about to say is a philosophy. Everyone has them. And if yours serve you, then God bless you. This is my philosophy. I believe that all of us, Cosmic, myself, Rolo, Art by Omni, Jamari, TST, DP, It's Nini, I believe that We're all God in the flesh. I believe that the goal of this 3D experience is to remember thyself and to know thyself. Because I would imagine that the only way that an omnipotent, omniscient, every goddamn thing entity, being, whatever you want to narrate it as, one of the most fascinating things you can do as an all-knowing spirit is to actually not know something. To not know. And I believe that this is why God is so obsessed over the Earth Project. Because God got to wake up with amnesia over and over and over again and couldn't get enough of it. Can't get enough of the thrill of not actually knowing a goddamn thing. And that's what makes the human experience so unique, contrary to the mammals and the insects and everything else that have certain instinctual capacities that allow them to be self-operative. You know, like a crocodile, like a baby crocodile knows to go into the water. A baby bear, you know, can fend for itself in terms of hunt, rip off teeth. But a human baby starts off needing total dependency upon another. Human infant can't walk, can't talk, and has no developed life skill to fend for itself. It has to be led. It has to be nurtured. It has to be cared for to a certain point in its development. And I believe with God being obsessed over the uniqueness of being human and the state of amnesia, that the objective is to remember thyself, because the knowledge is there. Mods, hold on, I got this actually. Hold on. All right. Oh, thank you, Ty. I was just on that. So the goal of the game is to know thyself. And of course, God is not an idiot. So Spirit sprinkled a few clues about, but nothing that would do it for you. Only the type of clues that would arouse what's already encoded in you. So, you know, a certain, you know, a few religions, some spiritual systems, you know, some esotericness sprinkled about the Sims environment, you know, to nudge you awake, to nudge you into being lucid, stimulating awareness. Because it's for you to know thyself. So all these things are tools: religion, spirituality, psychedelics, emotional experiences, etc. Just to nudge you, just to help nudge you awake into who you are and what's really going on here. And because God is in fact love, God is the creative force force that birth all realities and dimensions and time spaces into one. Birthed it into existence, that we are simulations inside of the mind of spirit. That all of this is happening in the mind of spirit. All of this is happening in the imagination of spirit. And God and spirit itself being that which love actually is at its fullness. Then means that my job as spirit in the flesh is to awaken to that level of awareness and truth of self in each incarnation. Therefore, if I allow the hurt and the pain and the tragedies and the injustices of life to determine me, then I'm setting myself backward in my self-knowingness. Rather than actually progressing forward into true and total spiritualhood. Therefore, for me, the goal of life is to be bruised without being broken. Because you have no choice, of course, in life, but to end up bruised if you're living. Of course, there's going to be death. Of course, there's going to be grief. Of course, there's going to be horrid things that take place. Of course, there's going to be breakdown. Of course, there's going to be problems. That's where all the bruising occurs at. But if you truly arrive at self and you keep the candle in the flame of divinity burning in you, it is possible to endure the most horrid of realities without being broken. It is possible to be bent profoundly without being broken. It is possible to sustain truth of self, and all of these rag to riches stories are proof of what I'm saying, of people coming out of sexual abuse, poverty, violence, abandonment, foster care, and becoming inspirations in life. There is something very, very awe-inspiring and beautiful and strengthening about what it means to be human and to be spirit, to be human and being at its very core. And this core has the ability to transmute the worst of the sour and turn it into your fucking lemonade, but only through conscious intentionality. This is not the type of transformation and transmutation that takes place by random happenings. This is not the type of reality and result you wake up to because it fell from the sky. It comes through and by way of you holding on to yourself. Remember, for a long time on this platform, whenever we get into these type of discussions, I used to always say to y'all, I said, I have no idea how the fuck I ended up here. I had no idea how the fuck I haven't ended up dead, destitute, and destroyed. All I know, baby, is that I held the fuck on. That's the only thing I know for sure, baby. I don't know how it turned out well. I don't know how the hell I made it on the other side of the fence. What I do absolutely know is that I held the fuck on And obviously, in order to hold the fuck on, as you out there on a life raptor, and thunder and lightning and tsunami and rains and waters and sharks, oh my, are amidst, it's because what's at the crux of your holding on has to be something that you are deeply convicted about. That's what's allowing there to be this adhesiveness, this glue that's tethering you to the holding on. The holding on of what? Your desire, your faith, your hope. Whatever the mechanisms and inner workings are of the holding on, the context of the holding on is. And holding on requires intentionality. Because we know that it feels at least much easier to let go than it does to hold on. It feels easier to just not try and to just let the circumstances take you under and take you over. Because as much as we are a powerful species, we are fragile. And we weather and we become worn. I realized through investigating the thing that eventually became the wellness of my life, which was holding the fuck on, meant that I had a core belief. I had a faith. I had something I deeply believed on that I really believed my life could become in order for me to hold on despite the times I wanted to unalive myself. Despite the times I would have rather be the worst version of myself because that's what the fuck everybody else was. So why play the game fair? Why be good? Why not just pussy pop? Why not just be destructive? Why not just not give a fuck like everybody else do? It seems like that's what's winning, right? Kept holding on. No matter how many times I was outnumbered, no matter how many times I didn't get what the fuck I wanted, I just kept holding on. That's what I know that I did. I held on. So I was able to understand the power, the transformational co-creative power of faith and hope. And the rites of passages that you undergo in order to be shown worthy and to show thyself approved, which was all the trial and error in order to transform your reality. Because you know what I was really fighting up against, y'all? Not only was the holding on was so intense, and the conflict and drama and the enemies and the principalities and the destructive forces of nature I was at work with wasn't just simply due to my astrological design, because there were certain things, right, I came in here to do. Certain problems I chose also for myself before I came here. Certain obstacles and adversities I chose. You know, because when you in the spiritual state looking at the earth experiment, you think you a bad motherfucker. You're like, yeah, throw all that shit in the basket. Throw all that shit in the goddamn buggy. Yeah, give me some of them niggas over there. Give me some of them goddamn heathens over there. Give me some abandonment over here. Baby, they ain't gonna have nothing on me. I know that I'm gonna remember myself when I come in. So some people put a lot of shit. A lot of diverse shit in their bucket, baby. So you pushing through all that in your incarnation is all the shit you chose for yourself. And then all of the duality that comes with your astrological makeup. And every zodiac sign has its duality, strengths and its weaknesses. But coupled with that is you're also working through intergenerational trauma and drama. So you attempting to change your fucking life when some of the forces in your life are also warring against you because they've had generations. Some of those thought forms have had generations and thousands of fucking years to rev up into a total authority. And you're sitting here trying to change the system as one person, going up against thousands of years of fuck shit passed through your lineage. And you wonder why the fight for your sanity is on. Because those are all of the complex, multifaceted forces that you are warring up against and challenging in your godhood. So you should expect the fire, the rain, and the goddamn thunder. And that is why the holding on is so intense, because all of that chaos is aroused and stimulated and directed towards you, who's fighting against this pathology and this dual nature and these heavenly and celestial variables and components and all these things that contribute to your reality. And you're taking all of that shit on. I say all that to say that you should never expect change without fire. Any genuine change in your life is going to come by way of fire, of purging, of rite of passage, of deep challenge, depending on the life you are holding on and envisioning, the self you are envisioning, the self you have as a goal, will also greatly determine the strength of the opponents that you attract into your reality. So where I am right now is I got peace in my Middle East. I'm okay. My whole goal was to find myself beyond all else in life, beyond money, cars, clothes, fame, influence, all of that shit, beyond men being in love, blah, 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 blah. My goal was truly me. The fruit of arriving at a better, healthier, fuller self has been incredible this far. And I titled this video, I'm releasing my previous soulmates and twin flames, to say that I have peace. I no longer even desire romantic relationships, to be honest. I'm almost deep, like completely submerged in myself and my development and just my own ability to be happy without the external reflected back to me. I empathize with my previous soulmates and twin flames, because what also kept me holding on to my twin flame was the fact that I was happy he made it out of the forest into my arms. I didn't even care what condition he was in by the time we found each other. I was just so happy we found each other. He was rather fucked up by the time he found me. He had been through the forest. We found each other in my 30s. My early 30s. And even though he was narcissistic, psychologically damaged, abused, and had become the very forces that are at work when we all have been born into systems and bloodlines, etc. You know, he was already far gone. But I took him on anyway, because I could feel the fact that we were meant to be together. I could feel the fact that we had been together in many other lifetimes. And it was represented in so much of the synchronicity and power we had together. because me and my ex could move worlds together. We could create out of our mind. We could sit in a room and think about. I remember one time, I was in the process of getting of going with a new cable company because my previous Wi-Fi and cable provider was raggedy as hell. I just got sick of them. So there was a period a few years ago where I was without Wi-Fi because I was just trying to figure out another company to go with. And my ex had moved in and all of that, and we were sitting. He was like, "We need to get some Wi-Fi. We need to get some Wi-Fi." I was like, "All right, let's get some Wi-Fi or whatever." So, called a company that I thought would be good as a Wi-Fi provider, and we had set up a date, you know, for them to come out and install the cable. Girl, he goes outside, runs back in the house. Babe, come here. We run to the front. The cable company we just put in place to install our Wi-Fi is installing Wi-Fi next door. So the cable man was able to come just right on over to us and provide our Wi-Fi needs right there and fucking then. And we would have that all the time. We would do shit like that all the time when we just put our brains together. We matched our desires. Shit would just manifest instantaneous. That's why life is so blissful with your twin flame when things are good, because it's just literally you have your equivalent co-creative partner. Y'all are literally alchemists together. Both of y'all alchemical giftedness is escalated because of the twin flame dynamic. So you're literally having instantaneous manifestation. That's why so many people are so convinced and enthralled in their twin flame relationship, because it's nothing like it. It's literally magical. And once you see something like that, you can't unsee it. But because he was toe up, of course, you know, there was a price to pay. Always. So I more so have empathy for my twin flames and my twin flame and all of my soulmates, because I understand that life is hard and life is going to sterilize most people. Most souls coming into this experience are not going to fully self-actualize in this lifetime. They're going to become they are going to become the problems. They're going to become the pain. They're going to become the hurt. They're going to become all that. Only a minority of people understand what the assignment is, which is to be bruised without being broken, and are intentional about transcending fear and defensiveness and energetic blockages in order to remain lucid in the God consciousness. That's going to be a minority of folk. But that's what the goal is. And I don't know what's ahead. I don't know whether there are other soulmates that I have just yet to experience that are going to come in time. What I feel good about is the fact that I'm going to be happy whether I am with someone in any type of a romantic capacity regardless. And I'm also really excited because I'm going to also be who I need to be for whoever the next person I'm supposed to be assigned to also is. I'm also excited about the fact that I know that if there is there is more soulmates, because I'm also into polyamory and polygamy and all of that stuff. So that's why I say mates, plural. I'm also excited because I know that if there are other healed people, because I realize that we're also outnumbered here. Most people are not doing their damn work, so most motherfuckers are raggedy. Okay? So we are outnumbered by far. But I am excited that if there are those people that are out there who are vibrating high, that I'm now qualified to, and that more than likely I will attract them into my experience at some point when that time is ready. Because I'm going to maintain my work, and I'm going to maintain my energy and maintain my mind. And I'm going to maintain a purity of heart. So I'm excited for all those things. So there is no negative energetic backlash for where I am. I'm happy no matter what comes ahead. I want to leave the way that Bishop Carlton is transitioning. Have done my work. I've done my work. I came, I saw, I conquered, I blazed. I left it all on the floor. I discovered who I truly am. And I transitioned in who I am. That is what's going to make transitioning satisfying for me. Cosmic, anything you want to say to all of this?
The Phoenix Force is awakening. I'm listening because I'm really getting a grasp on twin flames. That's something, the idea of that's always been something very elusive to me. And really, what that is, we actually watched the some material on that you recommended to me that Netflix has been doing on a series about this. So I've really been listening to get a better foundation of what twin flames really are, and what you explained this one also, what the purpose of them is.
Do you
So because when you start leaning into that, soulmates, and I think you also mentioned soulmates, right? You mentioned twin flames, and someone else mentioned soulmates. That there are like these other, something else is reflecting on deeply, these other categories that often get conflated all as one. This also goes back to what we were saying earlier about that deep level of discernment that's needed. Spiritual discernment. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, I'm asking you, so you can. I mean, you can get carried away if you want to.
So yeah, I thought it was really interesting. I would ask further. Can you only have one twin flame?
Wait, I had touched on that. That I think you get at most only two. I think you get a bunch of soulmates, but I think you only get 1 to 2 twin flames.
That's interesting. That brings up a lot of different.
If we had the opportunity to have more than twin flames, I think we all be gone and done by now. I don't think I don't think that would be survivable.
Right, you would not survive.
More than 1 or 2 child. One has been beyond more than a damn enough. Yeah. So I think that's why most people don't experience usually more than 1 or 2 twin flames, but will experience a plethora of soulmates who are kind of like alternative lovers. People you can still be happy with, still have a great relationship, build a family with, etc. They're not your twin flame, but they are your soulmates. They're complementary. There's still various awakenings that can take place through soulmate dynamics, etc. So they have their place in this like hierarchy of relational dynamics, but that's just my belief. I believe that we don't get 1 or 2. but one or two twin flames. I've never really heard anybody speak about a multitude of twin flames. I've heard people kind of like latched on to one, maybe two at best. They attest to, but I've never really heard, the word twin flame exhausted over a multitude of individuals. But I guess, it could be possible too, I guess, because even if that's the case generally, that you do only typically get one or two, I'm sure as always, there is that E word exception to the rules. So I'm sure depending on what the life path of a soul is and what their incarnation required, I'm pretty sure there have been people who have experienced an onslaught of twin flames as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if a person, has had, but I just don't think people generally have more than one or two twin flames in a lifetime.
I think it's really important that we start to check our current relationships to see where the relationships are and what they really should be called, whether they're soulmate, twin flame, or whatever. That's a really interesting distinction that needs to be made, because you'll think that you don't have one, and then you find one. You'll think you only have one, and then, like you said, it's possible to have two.
Mm-hmm. Where are you with love, like with you being a spiritual person, and what is your need for romantic ness in your life? What do you make at this point in time in your own journey at this age, about the role that intimate relationships play?
I think they're absolutely necessary. I think all human beings need a relationship that's deeply intimate. I think that's a natural thing. And I think when we don't have those, that it becomes very unhealthy in our life. I think we feel off balance. We're deeply social. We have a very deep need for deep and intimate connections. But I don't think that I have looked at it from the standpoint of twin flames. I don't think I've gotten there yet. But that's where I am with it currently. I do think that soulmates is a choice. I think powerful love is a choice.
Yeah.
But that's currently where I'm at with it.
Okay. Anything else you want to add before we tie this up?
You've given me a lot to think about. I'm really out here taking notes. Although they need to go back and research. I'm very serious.
Okay,
I'm very serious.
Good. I
think that I do want to say this last part though. I think this wave that you've been on for the past a little over a week now, has been these multiple things, one after the other, has brought you to some really deep spiritual reflection.
Absolutely. Definitely at another level of awakening. And I can see beyond the veil a lot easier these days, metaphorically speaking, and literally too, I guess. And I think this is the good of me being kind of a lone wolf and really tending to myself has been able to bring me. I couldn't have been able to get to this place with my life so cluttered with people and so cluttered with other people's needs, and always just having to focus on supplying something for somebody. And I had to just take time to get me together, as my godmother, Eon La Benzant, would say. You will never have that sustainability as long as you're giving from inside the cup. You are supposed to give what the overflow is for everybody. What's in the cup is for you. And so many of us as light workers and healers and empaths, etc., we have erroneously given so much from inside the cup, and then wondered why we always left to feel so deeply destroyed and empty and abandoned and wrecked, etc. And I've really just been applying that wisdom that it is important for me to pour into myself completely, and for me to plug into source entirely, and to be mindful of my charity dynamics, and to make sure that my cup is solid first. And because I've been learning how to do that now, to give from the overflow, I don't feel I don't have that destructive feedback anymore. I don't have that like, who's going to save the hero complex. I don't even, because I have boundaries resurrected, and I've learned to care for myself, and I've learned how to preserve myself. I don't experience that often now, and I'm still mastering that, because these have been very new lessons and boundaries for me over the past few years. So I'm still ironing them out and implementing them, and making them a custom and a tradition in my life. But they have already served my mind and my body and my healing so much, just finally having the proper attitude about giving, because being raised up in the church, and being raised up Black, you are taught to be so fixated on community, and just thinking about everybody else, and being a Black minority, sometimes you've had to really work and take on heavy responsibility at a very younger age, because of the dynamics of the household, single mother household, or whatever the situations are that led to having to grow up real fast, having to be responsible real fast, have to be communal real fast, and you never really get an opportunity to really have proper self-care reflected to you, and to understand and be allowed and permitted and respected for voting for yourself, because you're expected to always give and to always put other people's needs before you. And the church never taught me anything about boundaries either. So the improper teachings of the church also aided and abetted in, me always having the right intentions, but very destructive execution, because I didn't know how to give in a way that was balancing, and to make sure that I was being given to so that I could give. And so I finally have found a system and an attitude about giving and charity that actually works for me, and that has kept me safe and kept me strong, and while still making me available to be helpful to the world and the people that are assigned to me. So it's just interesting to be alive, and I'm really glad that I followed the yellow brick road, and I followed my intuition over the past few years, and things have gotten remarkably better, because I have been more obedient and more interested in following where my intuition is always telling me to go, because my intuition has never failed me. It's never told me to do anything that was ever harmful, destructive. If anything, it's always been goddamn right. And I've just matured enough to understand that it's going to be right. So why not learn to make that voice louder in your life when it has a 100% track record of knowing what the fuck it's doing. So very intuitive led. And I would encourage people to definitely like strengthen your relationship to your internal GPS known as your intuition. It will serve you deeply. So, anything else, Cosmic?
I think this is powerful. I think this is really powerful. I think that I think we've not yet even begun to scratch the surface of what happens when we lean into that trance state, and what then opens up from there. Whether we relax into it, whether we've applied it intentionally, whether we stumble upon it spontaneously. It's an interesting ride. It's been a very interesting ride.
Yeah. Well, I enjoyed you. even though you spent most of the time listening and taking notes.
What? Yeah, because I know when I'm in a learning environment, and I know how to honor a learning environment, even though you probably didn't intend for it to be one. But there were some things that you were dropping that were powerful.
Well, I'm happy. Yes, I had to tell you about my psychic experience. It was incredible. And I definitely want you to if anything comes to you, to just let me know, because it was amazing. It was absolutely astounding. It's just absolutely amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing. It was very amazing. We're gonna get out of here, you guys. Follow Cosmic. I don't know if you feel like giving them your handles again for those who joined later into the discussion and didn't hear the beginning. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I thought you want me to send it to you. Okay.
No, you can say it. Yeah. Oh, and my mods are also sharing out your YouTube. Nice. Thank you, mods. If you want to give away like your Cash App, your Instagram, since your YouTube is already in the
you can find me on all other social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc. Cosmic, KHOZMIQ. You can also reach out to me on Cash App as well. $KHOZMIQ. Thank you, W, as always.
Thank you, Cosmic Nawaji. I'll call you.
All right.
All right, you guys. That was just a little Super Soul Sunday. I love you all. I know a lot has happened since we've been live. Unhinged has apologized to Storm and Von Ray, so we may be back tonight. We may be back in a few minutes. That all depends. So thank you so much, Art. But I thought you was already subscribed. Oh, you talking about the Cosmic Art? Okay. We may be back. So keep your eyes open. Stay notified. We may be right on back, child. I told y'all, girl, it's always something, girl. All right. Thumbs up the video, please share. Shout out to you guys, and I will see you soon. Bye.